To mention Edward Thompson to a... These are the most numerous Southern 460s left, as there's only one King Arthur and no H-15s. Excuse me, sorry. Too much phlegm in the throat. You too. One of the most unique issues with these engines was this balance pipe linking the water tanks. It was connected with a series of bolts pointing downwards and then some nuts tightening them. Sorry. When you look at them dimensionally, the little panniers are eerily similar to their bigger siblings. A 5700 weighs... Start that again. Right. To mention Edward Thompson to a band of railway enthusiasts is like, off. I mean, I know they've got to work on it, but still, off. So when Churchwood built his prototype in 1904, there was already a degree of skepticism. But Churchwood, being interested in what other seas, overseas? Other seas.
Like the Indian.
Like the Indian, the Atlantic, the Pacific. Every historian will off. So in terms of Great Western representation, we can be more than grateful for what we've got. After the Second World War, the Southern Railway had to replace the ancient Adams B4 tanks at Southampton Docks. They trialled an austerity initially, but it proved a little... Sorry, get it there. But it is kind of heartfelt to say that... Oh, it's kind of heartfelt to say, oh, So you're getting a live show here, Matt?
Yeah. Just without the bleeps.
Yeah. Is it funnier this way or not? I suppose so. I mean, the fact that Sorry. In 1929, Fowler had a Royal Scots chassis fitted with a one-off high-pressure boiler to create his greatest concept. No, not greatest, most outrageous. Off. When you open the regulator, there's usually a delay between steam travelling from the dome through the superheaters and then down into the cylinders. Now it varies from class to class, but because the S15s are so heavy and the cylinders are quite big, so they take a long time to fill, this man... Sorry, get it there. Now that's not to say that preservationists didn't do what they could in the 60s. What's happened has happened, and unless you're a mad scientist in a DeLorean, you can't really change the past. But it is rather sad to think that this is one of a... Thank you. No, you're testing the water gauges, but still, some of us are working. Yeah, they're working. Many people have become used to the 5700s, but for some reason they tend to go after these ones a little bit more often. Maybe it's their... It's all right. These things happen. In 1940, Colonel... Sorry, Colonel...
Is he related
Colonel...
to... Yeah.
No, it's a USA. It'll be Colonel... The earliest 262 tanks in the UK were built in 1887 for the... Try this again. By 1927, the LMS was becoming desperate for decent passenger engines, and after much back and forth over building new compounds, but not new compounds, sorry, I'll start that again. This was when the government insisted that all new steam engines had to make But Churchwood, who was interested in copying overseas designs, was keen to make this UK...
Was keen to make this UK... And he doesn't mean Northern Ireland and the Republic.
No. No, those guys are awesome. Don't ever stop, lads. Please and thank you. I promise I'll be good. I promise I won't break it. So while Bullied on the Southern had to cheekily classify his 30 merchant navies as mixed traffic machines, Thompson was only allowed to build 10 B1s as... Chop it there, sorry. In 1940, Colonel Howard G. Hill was drafted into the army to speed up. This was when the government insisted that all new steam engines had to comply with being capable of Take it from there, take it from there. Shut up. I've been going through some of the comments from various viewers. Now this one here says, what does he say? It's all in the script. By 1927, the LMS was coming desperate for decent passenger engines, and after much back and forth over building more compounds, new moguls, Hill was forced to produce a set of drawings barely weeks. So while Bullied on the Southern had to cheekily classify his merchant navies as mixed traffic machines, Thompson was only allowed to build 10 of his actual mixed traffic machines until 1945, when the rest were ordered as part of a 5-year modernisation plan. So when Churchward built his prototype in 1903, there was already a degree of scepticism. But Churchward, keen to copy what others... Sorry. The first problem was when they were introduced, which was the height of war. This was when the government insisted that all new steam engine designs had to be
All steam engine designs.
No, just the E2s. Just the E2s.
No, just everything built by the Southern.
What he said, not me. If it runs on steam, I'll take it. Since the Jones Goods of 1894, most British 460s had their valve gear on the inside, which meant that if you had say it. The B1s were fitted with these bucket seats bolted to the cab's side sheets, but the vibrations up here were so constant that they could what? That they could Top Gear didn't become the popular show enjoyed by all and not just by car enthusiasts for nothing. Yes. It sounds like Chewbacca. Hill was forced to produce a set of drawings barely weeks after... Generally speaking, these engines are fairly easy to maintain, but then some of the oiling points can be... like that one, which I will explain why once I get my lines right. Given the fact that most LNER classes are just... Hill was forced to produce a set of drawings in November 1941, barely weeks before the surprise segment. In 1929, Fowler had a Royal Scots chassis fitted with a one-off high-pressure boiler to... Damn it. In 1929, Fowler had a Royal... He did?
Who was that with?
He who must not be named. Which is why...
Margaret was too young in those days.
Are you implying that Princess Margaret had bollocks? The water tanks extend inwards, which means the reverser has to go where you'd expect the driver to stand. And if you're thinking of driving one of these sitting... Bugger! We may have 5 Southern Moguls, 16 Great Western Halls, 18 Black 5s, but... oh, I can't remember the rest of it. There's no real point referring to these engines as... as that. These are the most numerous Southern 460s in preservation, as there's only one King Arthur and no H-15s left. As... bollocks, sorry. Round, spherical objects. He's laughing. Little fat gobshite's laughing.
2 years and he's finally said it again.
No, I've said it before then. Just not when you're around. Because you're here, you keep reminding me of them. Anyway! The earliest hurdle was the design of the piston rings. Instead of having 6 rings per valve, each piston had just 1 ring per valve, which wore out much quicker. And I can't remember the rest of it. Then you'll break your back when you're firing one of these things. Not because of the position of the firehole door or the lack of space to swing your shovel, but because you'll hit the handbrake with your spine, ow, when you're coming back up again. And I've forgotten the rest of it. But they are different, and in Britain, difference gets you appreciated. I can't remember the rest of it.
Oh, don't take any more off.
This is where you want your ACAC guns. Since the Jones Goods of 1894, most British 460s had their valve gear on the inside, which meant if you needed maintenance, no, if it needed maintenance, not you, I need maintenance.
We know.
Because, yeah, these legs ain't getting any younger. And then there's ventilation, or lack thereof. You've got a hot cab and it's...
Oh, straight back into it.
Yeah. Between 1978 and 2008, the only chance you had of seeing a Royal Scot in action was to either watch some archive film, buy some models, or build some miniatures like this one. And considering this is one of the old... missed a bit. This idea helps to improve the draft by reducing the gap around the edge of the door, so the vacuum sucking the Sorry. So the vacuum sucking the vacuum sucking the It's not like the A4s, where there's usually been at least one in service at any one time since the early 70s, and considering this is one of the most important LMS designs in history, it's difficult to remember the very last bit.
You can't get that last bit out.
Yeah! Airplanes!
I'd like to see that.
Bastard! Sky rat! So while Bullied on the Southern had to cheekily classify his merchant navies as mixed traffic machines, Thompson was only allowed to build 10 of his actual mixed traffic machines until 1945, when the rest were ordered as part of a 5-year modernisation plan.